On this episode of the Breaking Ice podcast, we sit down with former Dene National Chief and MLA, Norman Yakeleya. Norm takes us through his experiences growing up in Tulita, and he recounts the arrival of modern technology. He then takes us through his experiences of residential school and what that time taught him. We then delve into his current project that he is focused on, the Canol Youth Leadership Hike, what it means to him, and how powerful this kind of experience can be for youth. Thank you, Norm, for your time, candor, and honesty. It was a true pleasure to sit down with you. Enjoy the episode. All right, Norm. Nice to sit down with you. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. Good to be in Norman Wells.
Well, welcome back to the Breaking Ice podcast. My name is Josh Ferguson. I'm your host today. And I'm sitting down with Norm. I have never met Norm before at all. I don't know anything about him. So it's going to be a discovery episode.
Good.
So, where are you from?
I'm originally from Tulita.
Okay.
And I was born in Yellowknife and raised in Tulita. So Tulita is my hometown. Satu region is my region.
Tell me, how you would characterize Tulita within the Satu.
Well, Tulita is a very unique community. And the characterization, I would say, it is the home of the Dene Nation logo symbol. You will see the three beaver skins on the mountain called Bear Rock, and in the river that they have the two arrows, and on the shores of the Mackenzie you'll have the smoke of our legend, the person that we call the holy man Yomoria. And through the traditional oral stories, Yomoria was a holy man sent by God, according to our story. And Yomoria is the one that made all the laws on the land for us. And Yomoria, as they say, put things back in its proper order. And when Yomoria did this, he left some significant signs. Three beaver skins that he killed, he stretched them on the mountain. And the two arrows in the Mackenzie River, at the confluence of the Bear River and the Mackenzie, is two arrows shot in the water. And today you still can see those arrows. And he cooked the beaver on the shores of the Mackenzie. And today you see the fat from that beaver still burning. It's called the smoke. So he left those signs to say, what I told you, and these are the signs to remind you of my laws for the people to live in harmony with the land.
And what were the laws?
Well, there's 5 values that Yomoria impressed upon us. The value of respect, sharing, caring, self-identity, and self-pride. And these laws that he put for us were, first of all, principles. There were 12 principles. And I think in one of the principles there was a section on the laws. And some of the laws that he instilled upon us was to pray in the morning. And if you're going to a new area, to make an offering of something significant to you, tobacco, tea, sugar, just to make the offering, to respect the Creator. How do you treat women? How do you treat men? How do you treat animals? When you kill an animal for your family, there's certain ways that you got to handle these animals. So there's a whole whack of laws that we have. When you come to a new area, you make an offering. So it encompasses everything of you being a Dene. And being a Dene means a human being. And so that's what we say, you are a Dene, means that you're a human being. And so we have those type of laws. How do we come into a relationship that works for both of us?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And how, I guess I kind of want to, can you paint a picture of what Tulita was like when you were growing up? How people cared for each other and what kind of, where the culture was at and and just some of your experiences as a young person?
Tulita was a very small community, and Tulita was a very happy community, a hard-working community. When I recall what I remember in Tulita, that we ran dogs, so we had a dog team, and there was no electricity, so we were in the summer that it was okay because it was a lot of daylight, but in the fall time, winter time, we had candles, and we had to make our own candles.
Okay. What did you make candles out of?
Lard.
Okay.
Yeah, lard and wick. We make it. And we had gas lamps. We had wood stoves. We had 45-gallon barrels that held our water. In the wintertime, we got clean ice from Bear River. We ran dogs, like I said. We had 3 dogs to add. My dad had 17 dogs. We cut wood with a bandsaw. Everything was done by just doing it.
Yeah.
And Tulita was very close-knit. We had a lot of families, a lot of cousins. We had school that went up to grade 7, and then in grade 7 we went to Groyer Hall School in Anuga to complete our education. Trapping was quite active. A lot of hunting, a lot of berry picking, a lot of fish nets, and Tulita was a lot of fun because we were carefree.
Yeah.
But it was very strict in terms of, visiting people. If we visited an elder, we actually worked. We didn't sit around. We actually cut wood for the elders, split wood, clean house. We did all those chores for the elders.
Yeah.
Our parents would send us to Granny and say, help Granny, with water. Help Granny with dishes, or cut her wood, or we shared a lot of our food, animals, the moose, the caribou, the fish, and we enjoyed the culture, the drum dances and the hand games, and we were very heavily influenced by the Roman Catholic Church. And the language was well spoken amongst our people. I think growing up, we had a lot of respect for our elders, and we had a lot of fun. We made our own fun. We played it out a lot, and there was no TV.
Yeah. Wonderful.
There was no TV. When we started to listen to the radio, we always would like to listen to Hockey Night in Canada with Danny Gallivan and Dick Irvin, the Montreal Canadiens.
Of course.
Yeah, and we listened to that, and so it was a good time at those days living in Tulita, and then slowly getting introduced by the outside culture of later on the TV. I remember the first time that we had a skidoo.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was unbelievable, scary, and we were all excited. We thought the skidoo was good. You got to get gas, and it was good because, we didn't have to hitch up the dogs anymore. We had to feed the dogs, and so we had to transformational of it from the dog team life to the skidoo life.
Yeah, that's a big change.
A big change from the bandsaw to the power saw.
Yeah.
Now we've got a machine that can cut wood. Don't have to.
Yeah, it saves a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But then you're dependent on gasoline.
And that was part of the deal.
For sure.
Yeah.
And with those changes in technology coming about, what was it mostly excitement that it was kind of accepted with, or were people,
Well, I think they call it progression. Because after a while, your arms get sore from cutting a cord of wood.
Yeah, but it keeps you strong.
We didn't see that. But we wanted to chainsaw so it cuts,
Of
so
course.
we can go and play. Huh?
Yeah.
We can do that, and we didn't know the benefits of that old way of life. Like you said, kept us strong. but as
Well,
things change-
given the choice today, I'd use a chainsaw.
me too. And then the first time we got a government house,
Mm-hmm.
we had flick switch. You didn't have to use the gas lamp or candle.
Yeah,
Just flick the switch and the light goes on.
yeah,
That was amazing.
totally.
Totally. And then we had big 50-gallon, 200 gallons water tanks. You didn't have to go and get water out of the Mackenzie or to Central Water Pump Station.
Mhm.
And we had our own water.
And that all happened pretty fast, eh?
It did in the
Yeah.
70s. Like, things were moving. Yeah,
That would have been pretty shocking.
Yeah, we had our own furnace.
Yeah,
So, you just click the little furnace button. The furnace would go on, the heat would go on. You didn't have to pack wood anymore.
yeah,
We had an electrical stove. You have to make fire now. You can just turn on electricity. And
yeah,
it was wild.
yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
And then, so then you went to school in Inuvik.
Yep.
And had you been to Inuvik before that?
No.
Uh,
I went there when I was 5 years old.
And what was that like?
Well, it was a totally different world.
It was already more developed up there.
Somewhat, yeah,
Yeah.
because we went into the Groyer Hall, which was, over 100 young boys,
Yeah,
both junior and senior boys, and it was totally different. It was all new, and my mother sent us there, and being in Groyer Hall was totally new because it was run by the Roman Catholic Church.
yeah,
When we're young, we always were told, listen to the priest, listen to the Roman Catholic nuns, because they work for God. And so when we went there, fully surprised that I wanted a totally different way of life. We were stripped of our clothes.
hmm
We were deliced. Our heads were shaven. And they gave us a whole set of new clothes. In those clothes, everything was marked with a number.
hmm
So I was the number 153.
hmm
So I had to mark everything up, my personal belongings, toothbrush, my jacket, clothes, everything was 153.
hmm
We were identified by our number, not by our name.
Yeah, that's a
So if they
really
told-
strange change.
That is really strange. And when they say our number, we would have to, if we didn't raise our hand, they would give us a good little whack across the head or face.
Yeah, that's not great.
No. But, that was what we had to endure. We
Sure.
survived it,
Yeah.
and we
Well,
were,
humans are incredible at surviving.
we're the best.
Yeah, we are the best.
Well, we've been here for thousands of years, survived
Yeah.
this country, with the Muskin
But
boat.
incredibly adaptable, right? Like,
We had to be.
yeah,
You had to be. I remember a story where our elders talk about the season of 2 winters,
Mhm.
back-to-back winters. People now are saying, well, this is nothing new here.
yeah,
We had a season thousands of years ago. Our story was 2 winters in a row.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
that's as hard as it gets.
it's hard as you get, and being in residential school, we became survivors, good friends. It's strange because we couldn't talk to our sisters. It was
Oh,
forbidden.
because there was a girls' school as well.
There was the same hostel,
Okay,
but the girls' dorm
Yeah.
and then the boys' dorm.
and you
We
couldn't
shared-
talk to them during the school day or just at all.
at all. We were forbidden.
Yeah, that's no good.
That we were kind of strange. My sister and I want to talk to Annie, but we couldn't talk to. So we had to sneak communication.
hmm
By waving at her, and she'll wave at it. And if we got caught, we got hit really hard.
Yeah,
And I was trying to say, why couldn't I talk to my sister?
yeah. There's no good reason.
At 5 years old, you're trying to figure it out.
Well, and what kind of conclusions do you jump to, right? Like,
Don't talk to your sister, or you're going to get punished.
well, of course, but that's
I don't want to get punished. I'm 5 years old.
yeah,
It's
Man,
sort of
that's so
found it
tragic.
strange. Yeah, it's kind of the stuff that we don't really talk about much because it hurts. Now, my sister and I have a good relationship today, but it took us a while to, start to talk to each other. And so we asked my mother about this, and she said, well, the priest said that you guys were doing okay and you're okay, not knowing the real truth that stuff happened that shouldn't happen to young boys.
yeah, of course.
Shouldn't happen to girls. There were times when they put soap in our mouth because we spoke our language. So We didn't want to speak our language because we didn't want soap in our mouth, so that did scourge us.
How many years did you spend up
I
there?
spent 6 to 7 years there.
Yeah, and that's an amount of time that will change you, you know?
It changes.
Yeah.
The mindset has changed. Coming out, didn't want to be an Indian, didn't want to be any indigenous. I wanted to be a white man. I wanted to work. And totally, my culture and my people on the land was not good. We weren't told about what the good of us. We were told that we're dirty. We speak the language of the devil. We didn't pray right. We didn't look right. We weren't the right color.
And that must have been really strange, especially coming from, such a, peaceful, happy community where, faith was integrated, but it wasn't like punitive.
I think that the Roman Catholic Church, along with the government, a combination, was really there to wipe the Indian out of us, kill the Indian in us. I mean, that policy was well lived, and the policies at that time certainly directed the governments and the programs that we were not the right people, and that they were trying to assimilate us in a way that
Well, it's destructive.
destructive.
Yeah. And,
But at the same time, they had good sports.
oh yeah,
We love sports.
what sports?
Hockey, basketball, badminton, ping pong, skiing. We were really good athletes. Really good.
Yeah,
World-class athletes came out of there.
that's awesome.
Yeah, world-class athletes came out of there. Good hockey players. We loved art. We loved photography. We loved speaking, public speaking. And we loved it there in a funny way because I got to meet a lot of my own brothers and sisters from all the 16 communities that were there.
Yeah.
So when I go there today, I go to TUP. I know this person because we survived Gordon Hall,
Yeah.
and we survived together.
Yeah.
So in that sense,
Oftentimes, this is no excuse for residential school, obviously,
No.
but oftentimes when you go through a challenging experience together, it brings people close together.
yeah, well, that's what an elder said to me at one time. That residential school did something good for you.
Mm.
And I was going, what?
Yeah.
You know what I went through? The elder said, think about it. That residential school, he said, did something good to you. And I thought about it for a long, long time. And just recently, what he meant was I had a lot of good friends there. Good friends. The best in the world.
Hmm.
I had made a lot of good decisions about school. I was taught to read the English language and understand it so that we can use it today in our agreements. The government makes agreements with us. I want to know what they mean.
Yeah.
I study it, and if I don't, I'll ask people. We had lawyers, doctors, professional athletes, photographers, film people that make a lot of good films. We had writers, we had scholars,
Totally.
but we paid the price.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that is very wise in terms of looking at, because in any kind of situation that you get into, whether it be like positive or negative,
Yeah.
you have a choice.
Yeah.
And the choice is, am I a victim and this was uniformly bad, or how can I grow from this?
And exactly, that's what we will look at today, is that victimhood is no longer there. We're more than that, and we're thrivers now. Look at Chief Danny Gadet.
Yeah.
He's my cousin. He's a chief, self-governed negotiator. Incredible. And you know what? He was one of the best damn goaltenders we had. And you can't
That's
get
awesome.
a puck by him. And so we had a lot of fun like that too, and a lot of good leaders that come from our communities that we went through it, and we come out okay. We're
Mhm.
not bad.
Yeah, yeah.
We're pretty good.
Yeah. Well, what was I going to say? I haven't heard a first person recount of residential school personally, in person.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of us around.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a tough topic, and
yeah.
I think there was a very wide variety of experiences, obviously, that people had going through that, and it's traumatic.
Yeah.
But there's, like you're saying, there's also a lot of growth there, and I think that is due to the perseverance and the adaptability of humans.
Yeah.
And not credited to the school specifically.
That's right. I think the schools just told us that that's not the way we want to be. We've got a different way of looking at life, and it served its purpose. What that residential school taught me was forgiveness. I had to learn to forgive the Roman Catholic Church. The four men that were abusing the boys, and same with the nuns abusing the girls. I really had to learn about forgiveness, and I fought hard to come to it. I even went to Rome to see the Pope.
Okay.
Yeah. And
tell me about that. What was that?
That
like?
was wild.
No kidding.
No way. Yeah. And I'm on.
When did you go to Rome?
April 1st, a couple of years ago.
Okay.
With the delegation from the Assembly First Nation.
Okay.
When I was the regional chief, that was one of my tasks, was to organize the visit to the Vatican. Because the Pope finally said, I'll have an audience with the indigenous people. So part of my job as Assembly First Nation chief, I had to organize it with all the leaders across Canada and with the Roman Catholic bishops.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I got over there, and I was telling my wife in the delegation, the Vatican, you only read it in high school. The cathedral, Michelangelo's painting, and you only read it. I'm actually here. Rome's got the best darn pizza. Man, it's good stuff. And spaghetti, oh my God. Oh my God is right. Anyhow, we went over there. It was so surreal that when he apologized, and my good friend were in the audience, and my friend turned around and said that, Norm, we did it. His name is Ken Young, one of the first Aboriginal lawyers in Canada. I said, what do you mean? He said he apologized. I said, really? Did he? He said, yeah. He said, I read his speech, and sure enough, he said, we did it, buddy. I said, we did it. After 25, 30 years of pushing the Pope to apologize, the Roman Catholic Church to apologize. And that was good. I was still daisy.
What did that do for you?
Well, I thought I'm done. I heard the Pope apologize to the residential school survivors. And I got back to the hotel. I got really angry. I got really angry. It took this long to apologize to the indigenous people of the residential school, suffering they caused amongst us. It did to me a feeling that my mom was not here to hear it. It wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
To sending us to residential school, and I wanted my mom to hear the apology, but she wasn't here, so I got really angry. Really angry.
And was that angry with the Roman Catholic Church, or
yeah? It was built up for the last 54 years coming out.
Yeah.
And I really got angry. I swore, I cried, I yelled. My wife cried with me. I said, it's all come to this point. We slept, little nap, and got up, and I felt freedom. I have never felt freedom in my life before.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Josh, it was like, I can't describe it. It was the freedom, calmness. And I said to my wife, I'm hungry, let's go eat.
Let's go have some pizza.
Yeah, pizza. So we went down and had pizza. It's, okay, I've done this. How long I've been asking the Roman Catholic to apologize. And it was an unbelievable feeling.
Wow.
And I feel I'm my first step to forgiveness. Yeah, not holding them in that place of
Well, in a lot of ways, the holding on to, this isn't specific to the situation, but kind of if you're in a place where you feel like you're a victim, it can kind of keep you in a cage,
oh, definitely.
and it's your mindset,
It is.
right?
And the thing about that is that you have the key to open it, but you don't open it.
Well, and you don't even necessarily know how to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
How do you open it?
yeah,
I'm so comfortable being the victim.
yeah.
I'm so comfortable getting mad and justifying my anger against the
Well,
church.
and then and it's not
or
my,
the government.
these things were done to me. It's not my fault, and
Yeah, all that stuff.
yeah,
All that crazy stuff. No wonder I drink.
yeah,
Because, who would withstand, the abuse? Not only sexual, physical, emotional, but spiritual
yeah.
abuse. All that abuse stuff, and...
Well, and it affects you on the deepest levels.
oh, definitely. Definitely, and all this stuff the residential school, I kind of use all that this today by bringing the young people on the Canol Heritage Trail, called the Canol Youth Leadership Hike.
Yes.
And I say, wherever you're going to have and what you're going to do in life, set a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Set goals for yourself. As you set goals, you reach them and you go a little further. It's called a mountain without no top.
Mm.
I get so far, then I go see further, But you can do that by yourself. That's great. But it works better with a team.
Yeah.
And whatever stuff that you pack on in life, that's what you're going to pack in life. Now, some stuff you're not going to need, but you want it.
Yeah.
But
Or you're used to having
You
it.
used to have it.
Yeah.
On the hike, your 60-pound packs are heavy, and it's one of the toughest hikes in the world. And you need other people to help you. You need to guide, but you become a leader by learning to work with you,
Yeah.
learning to trust you. I need you out there, Josh. I need you. So let's work together.
Yeah. Well, my background is I come from Ontario,
Oh yeah.
and I lived there until I was 9 years old. But then my family moved to Mexico, and I lived there for 10 years. But every summer I'd come back and I would go up to northern
Yeah.
Ontario,
Yeah.
about 6 hours north of Toronto, and I would go on canoe trips with the summer camp that I went
Yeah.
to, and it was intentionally very difficult. Like, it wasn't easy, and that was the point. It brought people together, but the same kind of thing. Like, you're talking about the Canol Youth Hike and how powerful that is to help people realize maybe what they're carrying around that they don't need to be carrying
You
around.
don't need it.
Yeah.
But
And
it serves a purpose for a reason.
for sure.
And that's like, is it serving you good? Is it serving you in a
Yeah.
way that advances you? Sorry about that.
Well, no, that's okay. I was just going to say, like, you might be carrying something around and that is serving. There's something about that that's serving you.
That's right.
But there's something about that same thing that's holding you back.
That's right.
And you can shed
Yeah,
just what you don't need.
that's right. And that's what we do out in the Canol.
Yes.
We take our time. We build a relationship with the young people. I don't know their background. I don't know much about them. But the Canol gives us a golden opportunity in the evening like this, just chat like this,
Totally.
like interview each other. Yeah, okay, I get your idea. I get your thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique spiritual sense. When we get to appreciate people in our life, the Canol Youth Leadership Hike is all about personal development. For things to change, they have to change. We can blame the government, the weather, and all that. It's part of our life. We like to blame. We like to justify.
Well, it's easy.
It's easy because that's just who we are.
Yeah.
But the Canol brings out a different form of working together.
Yeah.
And get to learn the land, the language. They get to help each other. You know what they do? They get to think.
Well, and they're forced to think.
Yeah, because they have to, otherwise they die. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
So if we're going to cross the river, I tell the youth, okay, how are we going to cross that river? Think about it. They'll sit and they'll think. They need each other.
Mm-hmm.
They need to help each other. They do all the thinking, and the fire is in the evening, and the fire is burning out. You need to think, okay, in the morning you got to get some dry twigs because it might rain.
Mm-hmm.
You put the fire out, or you make it stronger by, you watch the animals. Everything is taught how they think. They don't have this cell phone.
Yeah, it takes
yet.
you out of that, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They don't have that, so now they put it away. It's highly addictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's dopamine addiction.
Oh, absolutely.
I do that.
Yeah.
What the hell? Part of life. But out there, we all learn, okay, we need to communicate now. We don't need to swipe and deny and all that.
Yeah.
It's good for taking pictures.
Well, yeah, it's a
So
tool.
it's a fine balance.
Yeah.
And we teach them that. And I think the kids learn that, how much we need each other, and use that device in a good way. Because it's highly addictive.
Well, you can confuse it with your personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That same thing.
And it's a tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just a tool.
And most tools aren't as easy to confuse with your personality.
That's
than
right.
the phone
That's right. And that's what they learn, huh?
Yeah.
As they hike and help each other, they laugh, they tell stories.
We would do trips like that growing up at this camp
Yeah?
that I was talking about, and I spent 18 summers going there.
Really?
Yeah. So I went when I was 12, and I stopped going there right before I moved up here.
Really?
So I went as a kid. I did 7 trips, and then as a guide, I did 6 years or so,
Yeah,
and then as
man,
a director.
good to have you out there.
Well, I'd love to come sometime.
1 week.
Yeah, that would be
1
that would
week,
be
40,
amazing.
50 miles.
Absolutely. Well,
Oh, man.
and we would sit down and we would intentionally talk with the students.
Yeah.
And we'd make it hard on purpose, and we always talked about there's the outer journey,
Yeah.
which is the hiking
Yeah, yeah,
or the
yeah,
paddling
yeah.
and the portaging, and then there's
Yeah.
the inner journey, which is what your experience
That's
is
right.
of the
Yeah.
of the experience.
Yeah.
And you can have the worst time if you choose to.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the whole thing about the hike. That's something transformational that happens. And, we had kids out there for 7, 8 years, 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
and developing the program. And, we now want to put it into a good program. This whole Canol Youth Leadership Hike, just came out of my grandmother.
It's awesome.
My grandmother telling me to hike in the mountains.
Yeah.
My grandmother's...
Well, and all these lessons that you've
Yeah.
woven into the program,
Yeah.
and that would have just been a part of your day-to-day experience
Yeah.
As in Indigenous culture previous to technology.
Yeah.
And it was all just woven in. How are we going to cross this river? Well, I don't want to get swept down. Let's go together.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of thing. It was just baseline.
Yeah, and then, you go to the elders and say, how are we going to cross this river? The elders tell us how they did it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Really? I said, yep, okay, that's what we're going to do. So I tell the youth, so how we're going to cross this, figure it out. I'm going to sit here and have a cup of coffee or tea. You guys figure out how we're going to...
Absolutely.
Once you figure it out, come back to me and let's see what it works.
So we would do the very similar thing in different ways, right? So obviously there'd be problem solving in the outer journey. We got to carry all this stuff over here. How are we going to do that? How can we make it faster? How can we make it more efficient? But then we would sit down at night. I remember working with a group of 16-year-old boys, and we were on a 19-day trip, and it was like night 3 or something, and we sat down, and we sat in a circle as the sun was setting, and the question was, when's the last time you cried? We're going to hear from everybody. No one gets to cop out here.
Yeah.
And we would sit and we would wait, and people could talk when they're ready, but we were waiting, and everyone was quiet and waiting until we were all done speaking. And that kind of a thing, it's the same thing, like on a personal level. Like,
Yeah.
there's a challenge. How am I going to
Yeah.
overcome this? What am I going to say? Do I tell the truth? Do I
Yeah.
I don't know. And if you don't, it's so obvious.
That's right.
And that's the vulnerability
Yeah.
thing. That's why
Yeah.
vulnerability is so important.
That's why it's so sacred when we go out there. What
Yeah.
happens on the canal stays on the canal.
Totally.
And that's really respected. The sharing circle, the camaraderie amongst the hikers. We get a peek in their world just for a glimpse, and they close it
Mm-hmm.
because that's the protection, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these young leaders, we try to transform that type of leadership into the real world when they come back to the communities.
Totally.
That's so how
Do you ever work with the same students year after year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Well, that's the kind of thing that really provides change, because
Yeah.
if you have a one-off experience, it's really easy to kind of forget about the lessons
Yeah.
in it. And the structure that we would use, kids would come back for years, like myself, you know. And when I went on to university, I studied leadership. And,
Really?
Yeah, and in outdoor rec.
Oh, we're gonna have you out there because I'm looking for someone to take over for me. Josh, you might be the right. This podcast might do it for me. My prayers have been answered.
Well, there's the one thing I was going to say is there's a lot of people in that program,
Yes.
outdoor rec, and they came from all these different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And everyone, well, not everyone, but most people were like, well, I like being outside. And they hadn't really had enough experiences, or at least enough perspective to say like why they liked being outside. Like, oh, it's easy. Oh, I like hiking. I like, it's beautiful, whatever. I like nature. I'm an environmentalist, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember our professor challenged our assumptions one day, and on the board, he wrote down all the reasons why outdoor rec is bad for the planet. You know, people fly to really far away places and leave a big carbon imprint, whatever. You know, all the rain jackets we wear is made from oil.
Oh,
you know,
man.
things like, well, he was asking why we loved what we loved.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at the board and going, well, it's never about any of that for me. It's all about the people.
That's right. That's right.
Like the trips, it has almost nothing to do with the canoe trip.
That's right.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
is.
It's tool of the. It's like a tool of the. There's
well,
a
it's
phrase.
evolution, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're going to go out with a chopper,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we're going to look at some sites at the most maximum benefit of flying out with a chopper, with our own helicopter
Mm-hmm.
company,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and taking out, photographer. We're going to look at the mess that the Canol made in 1942
Mm-hmm.
when they decommissioned and left a big mess there on our land. You know, and that's what I'm going to tell that's part of the program with the youth. We got to clean up our land. I mean, it's there. We got to clean up. We got to hold the ones who are accountable for that.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of muscle and politically. You got to clean up our land, and we can do it. We can train you to be university environmentalists, remediation, projects, build infrastructure. You know, I'd like to build a park that equivalent to Walt Disney. Make it the most wonderful ancestral historical park, and bring people out from Ontario, BC, Ontario, everywhere, and say, come enjoy our land. It'll be run by Indigenous people. It'll be overseen by Indigenous people with partners, because we got to work together. But it'll be from our land claim that I negotiated in Chapter 17 of the protected areas, is that all this is for you, and you have to set yourself up. But in order to know, you have to walk the land to know the land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a mess on it. And I like to use that analogy. Is the mess on our land, the hike, you're going to see the mess in your life. And who likes to look in the mess in life? Not me.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. But I have some coaches that tell me, hey, maybe you look at this. Get off this now. You know, look at this, look at this part of your life. Is it working, not working? Well, it's not working. Well, I got to do something about it. Same kind of thing with the Canol Youth Leadership Hike. I got stuff from residential school that I've been hanging on to. I need to let go. You know, I really need to let it go to get some freedom. You know, and
So how much are you still hanging on to? Do you still have?
oh
stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like when you're walking in the Canol Trail, you can see the mountain there.
Mm-hmm.
You walk over a day or so, and then we get to that mountain. I look, there's another mountain, and I get to there. And I get to there, then I go to another spot in the mountain. I can see it further. Every place that I walk, I get to see further, then I get to see further. And while I'm walking, I get to start letting go of some stuff. I've been maybe not such a good father, not such a good employee, not such a good student, not such a good son, you know, and that's the stuff I need to let go. But I've also looked at, there's parts where I'm a good father. I'm sober.
Yeah.
I haven't drank for 37 years. That's good. I've learned to forgive. I come from a family where I was raised by 3 dads. Which dad do I listen to?
Yeah.
You know, small community.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to learn to forgive my dad for leaving us at 5 years old, 4 years old. I was very angry with my dad. He liked drinking more than he liked us, I thought. Whoa, something wrong here.
Yeah.
But I did it too.
Yeah.
Until I stopped drinking. You know, and I had to learn to forgive the priests for what they did to me.
I like the metaphor you're using about the continual peaks.
Yeah,
and
mountain no top.
Mountain with no top, and how, you know, there's baggage that you're holding on to and experiences through your life that no matter how much you let go, there's still more that you can let go of.
Isn't that crazy? When's it going to be end, you know?
Yeah, but there's also something, I think, important in terms of coming to peace with that. Because you can be frustrated by that if you want.
Yeah, you know, coming to peace with that it's wonderful. In the Canol, after the hike, after 10, 12 hours of hiking, it's a 60-pound pack, sitting there, having a coffee, have a smoke, and it's just beautiful. Capture that in your mind. Man, you can't beat, it's priceless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's priceless. You wish everybody would have this experience. And
I always call that the letting go and that kind of like work. I call it the hard work.
Yeah.
And so many people aren't willing to do the hard work.
No, you got to pay the price.
You got to pay the price.
You got to pay the price. And the Canol is, you pay the price because only you are responsible for carrying your pack. If it does get heavy, like a toothbrush or a little pack of snacks, you could share the load with somebody else. Our packs is just as heavy, but we know, okay, we'll help you pack some stuff, you know. So we share the load. We share and help each other. You know, one step forward. You know.
I heard this thing that is talking about, well, like speaking about sharing the load and whatnot. Humans use community to keep ourselves sane.
Yeah.
So, you know, interacting with people and talking to people and kind of sharing and communicating and you know, relating to each other helps. And everything is going properly, people will do the same back to you.
Yeah.
And you can help keep each other in check. So there's a part of, you know, that basic kind of communication where it helps us have a reality check and make sure that we're calibrated properly.
Well, that's a basic human need.
Totally.
That's a basic human need, and you know, individual. We use like some scientific knowledge. So we produce our own chemicals. You don't need to get anything outside. We're self-producing, and endorphins. We produce our own endorphins, and we produce our own dopamine. You know, it's individuals. We don't need anybody. We can produce it ourselves. And then we produce another 2 more chemicals, serotonin.
Serotonin.
We need people to feed off teamwork.
Yeah.
And oxytocin.
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 Yeah.
We need those.
Yeah.
So when the Canol hike, you're strong, you're muscular, you don't need anybody, and that's fine. That's individual. Karate, you know, you produce that. But you need team like volleyball or basketball. You need to produce the other set of work.
Yeah, because you can be as strong as you want to be on your own. That's useful, but it's not good enough.
Yeah, and you know, they need each other to cross rivers.
And then at the same time, if you can have a really incredible teamwork, but if you let yourself go, then you are not holding up your end of the bargain.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that is a no-no on the Canol.
Totally.
It's like we don't need any John Waynes here. You know, we know you're strong. We know you're this, but you need us.
So we use the technologies of the soul. I don't exactly remember, but we use this tool called it was a communication tool. We called them community meetings, and on our trips. And you might find this useful on the youth hike. But
See, that's why you got to come with us.
Well, I'll come.
You got to teach an old dog new tricks, Josh.
Well, we call them community meetings, and basically you frame it at the beginning of the experience that anyone can call a community meeting at any time. Now, this is more or less basic communication, but it's nice to make it formal in some way. So anyone can call a community meeting, and what that means is if someone says, hey, we need to have a community meeting, as soon as we can, we're going to sit down and talk together. Mm-hmm. And anyone can have the floor, and as the leader, you hold the space, but it isn't your job to lead specifically like do all the talking. So then we go, all right, Tommy, you called the community meeting. What do you have to say? But you have to say it in this way. When I feel in the future. And that way you don't place blame. Yeah. And you own your own feelings. Yeah. And it's so much easier to hear for people. So like, when you drink out of my water bottle, I feel like you don't respect me. In the future, can you just ask first? Yeah. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize that I was making you feel that way.
See, something simple like that.
Totally.
It's really unique because we're in a fast-paced world.
Totally.
And so when out on the Canol Trail, we slow the communication down. Mm-hmm. We build a relationship, and we say, then you said this, oh, I didn't know.
Yes.
And so the communication, and that's when we start building the relationship, trust, honesty, and that's probably my phone call from my wife.
I think it was me. That's fine.
And that's what's so unique. The world slows down. The world really slows down, and we start developing that relationship. And as we're out there, we started to see, what the Canol Project in 1942 did to our land. We got to clean it up. We got to clean up the land, and at the same time, we got to start cleaning up our life. So I try to put that together, because
it's a perfect metaphor.
Yeah, and that's why we do it, and that's why we want to get pictures and tell the government this has to be cleaned up. You can't leave it out there. Mm-hmm. Just as if you want to live a good life, you can't leave stuff in you that's going to carry you on. It doesn't work. And that's what we're training leaders, is that to be a leader, you have to really discipline yourself, sacrifice, pay the price, the heavy lifting, even if nobody believes in you. Mm. So what? You still believe in what you think in life that you want for yourself. Sometimes it means standing alone. Sometimes it's like being with the mind of Colonel Sanders, the Kentucky Fried Chicken king. Colonel Sanders got 1,009 no's before somebody said, hey, I'll buy your recipe. For 2 years, 65 years old, went across America.
Way to stick with it, Colonel
Sanders. I know,
Sanders.
Colonel Sanders. Walt Disney, 305 no's before somebody said, I'll buy an investment into your park.
Yeah.
We got to have that type of mindset. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Thomas Edison, 10,000 ways to try to get the incandescent light bulb. Mm-hmm. And the only way he got it was he fell asleep in a chair, and something magically happened and said, this is how you got to do it. That's what we want to teach our young kids. Don't give up on the life. Don't give up on yourself. Work with other people to help you. Find them out. There's going to be some nasty people. Go find out, and that's how you learn.
So one of the big, do you know what the hero's journey is? Have you heard of the hero's journey?
No, I think you're going to tell me.
I'm going to tell you, but you know this on a deep level, but this is kind of like a verbalized thing, but I think it's a Jungian archetypal journey. Yeah. And it's, I haven't talked about this in a long time, but there's multiple stages. Mm-hmm. So there's leaving the known world, and then there's trials and tribulations, mm-hmm. overcoming the trials and mm-hmm. tribulations, and then rejoining your world, your known world, like going home. And the Canol Youth Leadership Hike mirrors those pathways.
Hey, can I use that?
Of course.
Can you put it on paper?
Yeah,
so
I'll write it down. I'll
yeah,
send
no, I'll teach it. I'll teach it to you. I mean, I really like that.
Yeah, well, it's really
that's
useful.
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And our program was specifically designed around that. One of the things that we did was we flew kids into our base camp at the camp that I went to, and you take 12-year-olds from Toronto and put them on a float plane.
Yeah, they're good ones.
And then you fly them over the woods, and they're going, holy crap.
Yeah.
That's leaving the known world. It was really intentional. And then there was the trials and tribulations, like you're going to carry this pack, you're going to cross this river, you have to start the fire, and then you're what's strong or powerful about this experience is like you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you decide not to, and then you're going to suffer. But and then when you overcome them, you're like, oh man, maybe I am worthwhile.
Exactly.
So how much focus, this is my question to you, how much focus on returning to the community do you have in the program?
Not too much, and that's where I'm lacking.
Yes.
That's why I'm excited, because it gives me a framework, and we don't spend too much time returning, and that's one of our downfalls, weakness.
Yes.
And that's why we're doing this week, let's look at the whole entire project, the canal, what a mess it made and what the canal was about. The youth, like you're saying, how much time have we really spent time with youth? The leadership is what we need to do to leadership and the walk. So I like your concept.
Well, it's not mine, but it's super important because the return and the recognition is what cements the change.
We're not doing that enough.
Yeah, and I think that most wilderness programs aren't doing this enough.
Yeah.
And this is across the country, but so for example, we would really intentionally talk to the kids and say, like, look, you're going to go home and you're different now. You've grown. And when you go home, how can you show everyone that you've grown?
Yeah.
And, small things like a 15-year-old, like, you can unload the dishwasher.
That's right.
And you can do your own laundry.
That's right.
And if you don't intentionally show people that you've changed, they're going to treat you like you were before.
Exactly.
And then you're going to regress to how you were.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. That's the one I'm trying to figure out.
So I think it's as simple as, it's not necessarily that simple, but you need to incorporate, I think, leadership. You could have, chiefs or someone host a dinner and the youth come, and you could invite, it's open to community members or whatnot.
You could do a presentation.
Yeah, but it needs to, but not with pictures. It needs to be from the heart. I think if youth
What about the 1,000 words for a pitch or something like that?
Well, yeah, but
come on, man, work with me.
Oh, way to undermine it.
Yeah, come on, Josh.
But if each,
I don't know what that is.
Like, imagine if each student stood up in front of the community and
that would be powerful.
Told them how they've changed.
Oh my God!
Then people heard it.
Oh my God! What you're saying? We were going to do that one year, if we had money. We were going to put a presentation together with some youth. We got Cove Lake, Good Hope, Norman Wells, Delano, and Tulita, and we were going to do a presentation. I was working with education and culture. Yeah, come through our fair. Unfortunately, the money didn't come through. The idea didn't come through. But that was one of our goals, was to go into each community, like you said.
Yeah.
And let the youth speak, get 3 or 4.
Well, I think it would be like, obviously, going to each community and presenting to each community or bringing everyone together would be more powerful. But in lieu of that, anything is better than nothing. Like, I feel like sometimes people go, we don't have the funding, we don't have this. And then you don't do anything.
Well, yeah.
And then,
that was our mindset.
For sure. But, and then what? You just don't have, then you give up on it.
Exactly.
And
you're
so,
teaching me something here.
You could, honestly, like, you could be like, hey, like, we're coming back to Norman Wells. We'd love to have a community dinner. It's a potluck. Anyone who wants to come, bring some food. We're going to cook something, and then your costs are, I'm sure the town would donate the community center or something. And then anyone who shows up, and you could film it on a phone and put it on social media.
What about this podcast?
Well, we could do it on here too, for sure.
And just let it out, because there's some.
Well, I'd love to talk to a youth actually from the trip. That would be awesome.
I would get your name.
Okay.
I would get your name right away. There's some really good youth. We did a rough estimate on how.
When does the trip happen? Sorry.
It's going to happen. It's supposed to happen this week, but other things that we really couldn't do it. So that's why I have some people working with me on, just taking a step back and having discussions like you're having right now.
Yeah.
I got some members here. Edward Uzi is here.
Cool.
And just take a step back and say, hey, when you say remediating the trail, what does it really mean? When you say land claims under Chapter 17, what it means. When you say youth, what are you talking about? Elders camp, infrastructure, to building emergency shelters there, that we have a society. What do you really mean? Land transfer, what do you really mean? The history. And so it's really taking a step back and say, okay, we got this product. Are we doing what we said we were going to do? And do we have the proper mechanism? Ideas like you're talking about is powerful. How are we promoting it after the hike? Are we going into the schools and saying, here's a Canol Youth Leadership Hike proposal, our presentation?
If the youth were to speak in front of the community,
yes,
I think it would be important to frame it for them, to say, I don't want you to get up and talk about remediation. That's something we're already focused on. It has to be about you.
That's right.
And exactly. How you've changed.
That's what it is.
Yeah, because but the reason I say that specifically is because it's so easy for people. That'd be really powerful, and then you have a youth stand up and talk about environmentalism and blah 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 and this out there, and it doesn't mean anything for them. Like, it might, but it doesn't truly mean about them.
If they're passionate about it.
Yeah, you can be passionate about it, but you can so often mask. You don't have to be vulnerable to talk about that. So I remember one of the things that we did at the beginning of the summer. So we would do a staff training.
Yeah.
And the staff would we would do a staff training, and the staff would come together before all the kids got there. We had about 50 staff, and we would do about 50 canoe trips a summer. It was a massive operation. And one of the summers we did a storytelling hour at night, and different staff would come up and tell their story. And the framing was from our director. So you're going to come up and you're going to tell something that's true for you. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do one volunteer and then one name out of a hat, one volunteer, one name out of a hat. And if you're not going to tell us something from the heart, don't waste our fucking time.
Yeah, that's right, John. I mean, that's Canol talk.
Yeah.
That is exactly what, we don't say publicly, but that's Canol talk.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the no BS on the trail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's heart to heart, but
person to person,
mind to mind, and say, no, I'm not going to sit there all day. We got to get up and move.
Well, we gotta think about how to get this out there more, because I've been here 3 years and I heard about the hike, but it's more than what I heard.
It's more than a hike.
Well, yeah, obviously, but it's that's not well. Now it's obvious to me, but it wasn't obvious to me previously.
Yeah.
And I think we need to think about how to put this out there more.
I wouldn't mind you having part of our team, because that wrote the communication, the promotion. I need some juice.
Yeah.
Say, how do you get it out there?
Well, let's
18 years.
Yeah.
And I got other people interested in working. I've got some work to do with some other people and expose it, and right now I want to establish it.
Yeah, you want it to continue.
I want it to continue. The legacy, it's not about me, it's about continuing and training the other leaders, management, hiking, guiding, counseling. It's developing a person that someone says, you're the Canol Hike, I want you to hire you because you're trained well, you're respectable, you got a code of ethics. You're dealing with stuff in your life that needs to be dealt with, and you're dealing with professionally, you're dealing with good.
It's a rite of passage.
A rite of passage. And my son, he's 22, he's been on there for 7 years.
Yeah.
Now he's an outdoor guidesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, got trained, and there's some young women who've also done the same thing. Kaylee Hickling.
Yeah.
Look at her.
Yeah.
She's out there with the other, and man, that's the whole thing, is get them out there and go to school, go to Harvard,
go
to university.
Aim high.
Aim high, guys. And you can become leaders, and
There's this really useful concept because I feel like young
Yeah.
people today, it's so easy to get disillusioned.
Yeah.
And like since we have the internet, you have access to the skill set of the entire world,
Yeah.
right? And the towers of achievement are so dizzyingly tall.
Yeah.
You know, so before the internet, you could be the best guitar player in your town, easy, right? But now you might be the best guitar player in your town, but you look online and you're like, oh man, I'm never going to be that good,
Yeah.
and it's demoralizing.
Yeah.
And there's this concept, the talent stack, that I think is useful. You might even want to talk about this on your trips, but it's like, you know, maybe you're not the best. Like for me, I'm not the best video editor in the world. I'm just not. And for my business to succeed, I need to figure out all the skills that I can bring together that make me unique. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm not the best video editor, but I have good interpersonal skills.
Yeah. Well, there.
Right.
This
So there's
one,
that,
yeah.
those two. And then also I have an outdoor background.
You do?
Well, with all the camping and 18
Yeah.
summers and whatnot. Right. And then I studied leadership. So I can video edit. I have interpersonal skills. I studied leadership, and I have a background in the outdoors, and I know how to suffer. Right? But those few, like, you put all those together, and all of a sudden, I stand out from video editor, any video
Yeah.
editor. So, and that's applicable to any career.
I think that's really unique in this year, the Canol Youth Leadership Hike. I mean, that's what we're looking for. You know, we're looking for the Colonel Sanders that will not take no.
Yeah.
We're looking for Walt Disney that has a dream.
Well, no, you're trying to help manifest that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes, like you said, you know, it's something that we want to tell the youth that, you know, Mackenzie Barney, he wants to become an engineer so he can build proper sidewalks in the trail. I mean, why not?
Sure.
Build proper bridges. Why not, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
You know, and
You don't know where that's going to take you either.
that's right. You know, my son Chase wants to be a proper guy to hike them safely through the mountains, and you know, Kaylee Hicklin's doing that right now with other outfitters camps. I mean, it's so.
Well, it's optimistic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we got to do with the youth. Yeah, you got to have drugs in your life and alcohol. I mean, that's who doesn't.
Well, those are temptations
That's
that you got to deal with.
that you're gonna deal with.
Yeah.
I dealt with them. 37 years I haven't drank. You know, and the best life I ever had. Is it easy? No. Is it fun? No.
Not
Is it
always.
not always. But it's worth it, huh?
It's worth it.
It's worth it. I mean, you know, and our communities are dealing with it right now. So the Canol is living out of the mezzanine and getting them out and giving the opportunity for the communities and learning what it's like to be a leader,
Yeah.
learning to be a leader, and then there's followers. You know, not everybody wants to be a leader.
No, but it's important to learn that you have to lead yourself.
That's right, and that's what we talked about on the Canol.
Yeah.
That's the oral tradition that happens on the Canol. The written stuff, well, we could talk about, but the oral stuff, what happens on the Canol stays on the Canol.
Well, here's the takeaway. We gotta figure out some funding so we can put some attention towards making you guys a video, because I think that could be really helpful. And I don't want to just make any video. I want to make a video that captures the heart and the vulnerability of the program. I think that would be really cool.
Well, I think if we can start on it together, keep in contact.
Absolutely.
What I have to do, there's Annie here, Sarah Baker here, and there's other people here that help, and there's other people like Jonathan, and there's Isabel that, you know, I think we just keep it going, and you know, start on it, and got government people here. We got people in Ottawa that believe in this program.
Totally.
You know, I got, you know, here's one. I had the world boxing champion on the trail with me,
Oh yeah.
Donnie Lalonde.
Uh-huh.
Donnie Lalonde came out with me 1 week. He's the only, and he's from Winnipeg boy. And Donnie Lalonde is the only fella that put Sugar Ray Leonard on his butt. Ever.
Yeah.
Nobody ever did that in the world. And Donnie and I shared with the kids, and he said, I'm the only guy that put Sugar Ray Leonard on his butt. And I said, how come you didn't finish him? How come you didn't finish him, Donnie? When he got up and he said, Norm, he said, I grew up in a foster home. I was taken away. And all my hurt and anger made me a world boxer, world champion. And he trained with Muhammad Ali's trainer. And he said, I just couldn't hit him. Mm. I knew what it's like to get hurt, be hurt. So I got up, I shook it off, and said, I'm trying to hit Sugar Ray Leonard. He said, somehow he's had a glow around him, and my boxing went like this. I couldn't hit him. He said, and Sugar Ray Leonard, won the fight. Didn't knock me down, but he won the fight. And he looked at me, he said, you know what? I lost, but I won. I said, what do you mean? Sugar Ray Leonard that night won $6 million. I won $3 million. He said, go figure. And then he told me the story of, Rocky. Sylvester Stallone offered the part in Rocky.
Yeah.
And he told Sylvester, that movie's not going to go very far. He looked at me and says, go figure. That type of discussions with people of that quality.
Yeah.
Out happens on the Canol, and expose us to young people that Donnie Lalonde was, just coming out of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Foster parent. Parents split. Father drank too much. His mother took him, and went into the system. And you could be a Donnie Lalonde.
Well, what's that? Aim high because, and aim high and tell the truth, because, if you do that, you could be great.
Yeah.
And maybe you're great.
And that's why we call it the greatest hike.
The greatest hike. Well, Norm, this was an absolute pleasure today.
Anytime.
And
thank you very much.
We'll be in touch.
You betcha.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on.
Okay, rock.